Hi there. My name is Dr. Christina Campbell. I'm a functional regenerative medicine physician, and I'm also board certified in emergency medicine. I wanted to come to you today and discuss a little bit about some of the foods that we eliminate during an autoimmune protocol reset. And I wanted to kind of explain a little bit about why we don't eat those things or why we restrict those things when we are trying to reset. Um, First, if we're going to talk about that, we have to talk about autoimmunity and what is that and how does that happen? So, autoimmunity is when our immune system actually begins to attack our own tissue. So, we all know that our immune system is made to protect us from outsiding invaders, whether that's a virus, a bacteria, a mold, a chemical that we're exposed to, or um, heavy metals. There's any number of things, right? Our immune systems are set up to protect us, to make antibodies, we have immune cells that come to attack any of the invading critters, right? Viruses or bacteria or any of that stuff. There's an entire system dedicated to keeping us healthy. But what can happen, 3/4, so let's talk about that first. 3/4 of our immune system is actually present in our gastrointestinal system, in our gut. And what often happens is we have inflammation in our gut due to some of the things that we eat, in addition to other things. There may be other things going on, like chemicals in our environment. We may have a burden, a toxic load that we've developed over time that's become part of the problem. There can be issues with our mitochondria. There's a lot of things that can contribute to it. But at the very basis, oftentimes the process begins with inflammation in the gut and a leaky gut. And so if we can decrease the inflammatory foods that we're eating and allow ourselves time for our gut to heal and improve its function, then we are also impacting our immune system, because 3/4 of the immune tissue in our bodies is in our gut. So anytime our gut is functioning better, our immune systems function better. And one of the things that happens when we have a leaky gut is that the cells of the gut are supposed to be super close together. There's something called tight junctions, right, that are right below my thumbs. But what happens when we have inflammation is those tight junctions start to separate. And now there are proteins that can go across the gut lining, the skin of the gut, into our bodies that are not normally supposed to cross into our bodies. And our bodies interpret those proteins as invaders and immediately just begins an immune response to those invaders, an inflammatory response to those invaders. And the inflammation creates more inflammation, and we develop antibodies to those proteins. And so what does that mean? Well, what that means is then we develop issues with food sensitivities, chemical sensitivities. And most people who have developed autoimmune disease have already developed food sensitivities and some chemical sensitivities before they develop autoimmunity, whether they're aware of it or not. And some people aren't, because they've just felt bad so long that they don't realize what feeling good feels like. And I can completely relate to that. And that has to do with some of my story, which I'm not going to tell now, but have told other times. But it's interesting, as you get healthier and more well, you realize how sick you really were. As you start to know what it feels like to feel good, you realize how bad you really felt and how much you were really coping before, when you're not coping anymore, when you're not having to cope anymore. Anyway, so part of this process is where the immune system begins to turn on itself and attacking its own tissues. And when it's, for instance, autoimmune thyroid disease is when the body actually is attacking the thyroid gland with antibodies. When it is something like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, the body is actually creating antibodies to our intestinal tract. And any type of autoimmune disease is an incredibly inflammatory process. And so what we're doing with the autoimmune protocol is we are reducing the inflammatory foods, or the potential inflammatory foods, in our diet just for a short period of time. It is not our intention to live on that type of a diet, but it is our intention to do that for a period of time that allows the intestinal tract to heal itself. Now, it may interest you to know that intestinal cells in the villi, which are these finger-like projections in the intestinal wall that are where they look like fingers, and that gives them more absorptive space. That's why it's developed that way. The cells of the villi start at the very bottom and they work their way all the way up to the top. And that takes about 120, a little bit more than that, days. So a little over 3 months, you can completely replace your intestinal tract. Interesting, right? Bet you didn't know that. You're not stuck with the same intestinal tract you had 4 months ago, 5 months ago. You can actually rebuild it. And it can change over time and it can improve over time. So the idea with the autoimmune protocol diet is that we're taking away the foods that for most people create inflammation. And we're trying to get rid of all of them at once so that the body has time to heal. And then after we are healing, after we've completely healed the gut, then we add one back in at a time, one food at a time, just like you would start to feed a baby. You start with one food at a time, you give them a few days, you make sure there's no reaction. The same thing here. You would start with a single food at a time and you would see if there was any reaction. You keep a journal about it, and then you add those things back in. And if you have no reaction and your body seems to take to that food, then you leave it in. But the idea is never to have a completely restricted diet forever, because we need our minerals, our vitamins, and our nutrients. We need a nutrient dense diet also to be healthy. So we heal the gut, and then the gut can handle some of these foods, and then it can get the nutrients out of the foods once it's healed the way that it should. So it's never to restrict the diet forever. And it is really important that we have a nutrient dense diet because our bodies need vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, right? All the B vitamins, there's a bunch of them. Vitamin E, there's a vitamin K. I mean, just there's so many, and then all the minerals and all of the other ingredients in our foods that our bodies need, fatty acid, omega-3 fats, all kinds of things that we eat that we need to eat and we need to consume in order for our bodies to work optimally. And if we're not able to consume them all, then we need to be supplementing. But ideally, we're not supplementing with everything we need. We just want to supplement with what we can't seem to get in with real food. So, and that's a key difference in the way some people are looking at it, right? Is we don't want to just eat supplements all day long. We want to eat the foods that provide the vitamins, minerals, and building blocks for our cells to work well. But we have to have a healed gut before we can do any of that. And so in autoimmune disease, when we eliminate all those inflammatory factors, we will often find improvement in our autoimmune symptoms. We will find improvement in our gut symptoms. We will find improvement in our overall focus, our body function, our sleep, and any number of other things. And it's all related to that inflammatory process that's being created by the food we're eating. So super important to understand that little piece. Super important. And so that's why we do this. And so, it's a really important thing to do when you have autoimmunity, to try to do all the things that you can do to reverse your symptoms, to try to do all the things you can do naturally to support your body's health and wellness. And you can really improve how you feel every day. You can really improve your symptoms. You can really reverse your symptoms. You can really take less medications if we can reverse those symptoms far enough that you can get off medications. And yes, you can. That can happen. It has happened. And I can tell you from personal experience that it can happen. I'm off all of my medications now for over 2 years, and it's been incredible. It's been incredible. And I feel amazing. I feel better every day, and I'm always making changes, and I'm always improving, and I'm human too. So I make mistakes and I do things that I probably shouldn't. And then I have to pick up the pieces. So, just like you, I understand, but it's just important. The things that we do 80 to 85% of the time are going to be the things that really, change our lives. And 15% of the time, if we mess up, mea culpa, and we move on, right? So, but obviously, the better we can do every day, the better we're going to feel. Every few months, a friend of mine and I put together a 21-day autoimmune reset. We are currently doing that program right now. We've only just begun. We're only on day 3. And I would like to invite you to go ahead and join this program. If you have, if this anything that I've said speaks to you, and if you have symptoms of autoimmunity, or you've been diagnosed with autoimmune disease, or you know that you're feeling inflamed, you know that you have joint pains and gut issues, bloating, and things like that going on, that you feel could be impacted by changing your diet, and you want to try it, please reach out. Reach out to me in the comments below. Set up a free call with me, and if we're running the program, I will tell you all about it, and I'll make sure that you have an opportunity to jump in. And I will also help you to figure out what other things you could be doing that might be helpful to you. I really want to help you. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you feel vital and full of energy and out of pain. And anything that I can do that will help you, I want to do. Please reach out to me. Check out my Facebook page, like me on, like my YouTube channel, subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm constantly putting out free information, free education, and utilize it. Learn what you need to do, the changes that you need to make. And if you really want to take it all the way, and you really want to find out what's going on with you, and you really want to make a change, if you've been frustrated because your physician, your primary care, or the doctors that you've been seeing haven't been able to figure out what's going on with you, if you've been told that it's all in your head and it's not real, that's probably not the case. Probably not the case. It's probably more likely that the physician doesn't know what's happening, and that there isn't a group of symptoms that we've been taught a diagnosis for. And that happens. It happens more often than you would think. But we don't need a diagnosis to make you feel better. What we need to know is what the root cause is, and that we can do. So let me help you find the root cause to what's going on with you. Let me help you feel better. Let me help you feel vital and full of energy. Let me help you sleep better at night. If this speaks to you, please reach out to me right away. Share this with any friends or family that you feel could benefit from this. And I hope you have a wonderful day.